we just see this man fucking Nancy Reagan throat goating that fucking dog, man. He fucking downs it. It's fucking, like, Joey Chestnut wishes.
He's like a boa constrictor. He just unhinges his jaw.
And then afterwards, he's like, that's real good. I think he's like, we're headed to Tasty Street, or some Guy Fieri-ass quote.
He says
with
something
none of the
about,
charm.
like, the, flavor hot dog leaving the station, or something incredibly corny. And I think you're right, Josh. You should become a Christian comedian, because apparently there is money in it. Welcome to Bible Boys, a podcast where two ex-evangelical siblings and an ex-Catholic non-sibling watch Christian media and either praise or condemn it. I'm Aaron.
I'm Josh.
And Michael
and
is...
it's awkward afterwards.
Yeah, Michael's extremely busy, and, Michael will be back. We haven't, last episode we established the fiction that Michael is some sort of spy, but, Michael's doing some secret agent shit we can't talk about, but rest assured, he will be back, in Bible Boys Die Another Day. But until then, we are talking about romance and religion with the spiritual rom-com Christian Mingle. Before we give free advertising to a dating website, please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, like and comment on our video, and follow us on Twitter at The Bible Boys.
Aaron.
Joshua.
So when you informed me 8 hours ago that this was the movie that we were doing, just to pull back the curtain a little bit, for a quick second, I thought...
Oh, and just do some catfishing for our podcast.
Yes. And I don't know, I'm in a pretty happy, stable relationship, and she's cool with a lot of things. I think this would have been the straw. Yeah,
I don't think my wife would have been thrilled either.
Specifically joining Christian Mingle.
Yeah, it's that one, right? Polyamory is all well and good, but Christian Mingle, on the other hand, that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, she could have called me on Grindr, and it would have been like a conversation.
Yeah. This is the 2014 film based on the website Christian Mingle, which stars star of Mean Girls, not Gwyneth, that's her name in the movie.
Oh, fuck, what's her name?
I can't believe myself.
My entire computer is bricking right now, so, fuck if I know. Lancy Chabert.
Lacey Chabert, thank God. Okay, yes. Wow, really crushing it here.
I like Chabert.
No, don't do that. So I feel like we just have to go through the plot because there's very little else to talk about in this film. But it is, it's going to go up a couple days after Valentine's Day. We're recording it on Valentine's Day. So, we figured we'd do something a little bit romance related. And it is, in fact, very, very tangentially related to romance. There were like 2 kisses in it.
It's definitely near romance.
Yeah.
Like, it's in walking distance of romance.
It's, yeah. Let's just get it started. So, this movie starts with the Lacey Chabert doing this, narration over like a shot of like some clouds, I believe. And she brings up the fact that this is about how I found capital H him. And also, I guess, my husband. But, she says this anecdote that's it's not just as simple as finding Jesus in a piece of driftwood. We'll get to that later. And so that kind of lets the audience know, all right, we're in for some weird shit, but, it sets the tone in a way that lets you know that this is going to be a little bit different from all those other Christian rom-coms.
This was big. I'm not like other Christian rom-coms.
Yeah, and I mean, to its credit, it's not.
It's not like anything I've ever seen.
It is a completely different vehicle for narrative. And
then we get our first of, I believe, 4 musical sequences.
Yes.
Where we just get to watch fun scenery while Christian pop punk plays softly in the background.
Well, Josh, do you know who this first song is?
Oh, I'm so excited to learn.
It's none other than Toby Mac.
Yeah, Jesus freak.
Me Without You is the song that opens. We get like a montage of Lacey Chabert as Gwyneth or Gwen.
Not Gwenny.
Not Gwenny. That's going to be a plot point. But basically, you know, we get this montage of a bunch of white people proposing to their partners who are also all white. And you know, there's just like maybe a solid minute of various like people proposing in front of Disney, people proposing at Christmas, people proposing at the beach. So we get the idea that this is a story about somebody who wants to get married. And we cut to Gwyneth in this bar. She's talking to this man who looks like discount Benedict Cumberbatch, unfortunately.
That is a great compliment to this man.
I think he looked like 3 rungs down of the discount. And this movie did not give him, like, justice here. It was a bad angle. Yeah, like,
he looked creepy.
Yes, intentionally so, I think. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I complimented him too much. I think he's more like the rejects from the discount Benedict Cumberbatch store. They're like, oh no, we left this one out in the sun too long.
They took all of the parts that like were left over. You know, like sometimes when you open a Lego bag, there's like 3 or 4 leftover pieces.
Yeah.
They took those from the Cumberbatch store, and that's what they were able to assemble.
They got some green stuff and sort of molded him together. Yeah.
I'm just so glad our Warhammer fans got a good joke in.
Yes, that was for our plentiful Warhammer fandom.
This is what happened when Michael leaves.
This is what happens. You all have to tweet at Michael and make him come back on the podcast, so we don't talk about the new Total War video game for the next half hour. So like, the thing is that Gwyneth is talking to this guy, and he's like very clearly checking out these women at the bar, like staring at their butts, and you know, not paying attention at all to what she's saying. And I honestly, like, I hate to, you know, come out in defense of this guy who seems kind of gross and creepy, but like, she is talking about how great it was to go to France that one time, and I can't think of a least interesting conversation. Like, if somebody is telling me how great French wine is while I'm talking to them, I'm just going to be like completely zoned out. I don't think this casts Gwyneth in a very interesting light either. It's basically like, oh, she has interests and hobbies, but it's all about studying abroad in France and eating French cheese.
I'm going to actually argue that this is a wonderful job of setting up her character, which is so mind-numbingly boring and so upset that no one finds her just so charming. Her personality is the fucking meme of the woman with the bag of frozen French fries on her head, and it's like, Meredith is so random.
I don't know. I feel like she gets more interesting as the story goes on, but I don't think you're necessarily wrong. So basically, you know, the date goes badly. He like bails on her. And you know, she goes back to her friends and she's like, you know, I just can't find a good guy. They're all like, come on, Gwyneth, our husbands are running out of guys. Like, you know, you're gonna be the last one standing. And then she's like, no, Anne Marie, a character we've never met, will be the last one standing. I guarantee it. And then she just says shit like, you know, I don't want to spend another Christmas under the mistletoe alone. You know, she's looking longingly at rings and jewelry stores as she walks back to her apartment. And, you know, then she like goes onto Facebook and it's like, oh man, Anne Marie is already engaged. I can't believe this has happened to me. You know, I've really got to get my act together. 30 years old and only a few lousy short-term relationships under my belt. You know, her life is a disaster. And
I just want to say, what a great like Chekhov's gun, where like when you show a gun in the first act, and then in the first act you immediately pick up the gun and shoot it.
Yeah, it is such a wild narrative thing to be like, hey, you know this thing that we're hinting at? Anyway, it's here now. Congrats! Like, it is so strange because Anne Marie never comes up again.
I forgot her name. Like, the group of friends are just a group of women that stand around her and go, ew, you're single.
Yes,
Ugh.
yes, 100%.
Yucky.
I don't want it to come off like I don't like rom-coms. I actually kind of like rom-coms. I probably like any random rom-com more than like some of the stuff we've seen for this show. But
listen, I enjoyed Crazy Rich Asians a lot more than I enjoyed Silence, and those are two of my favorite movies.
Listen, Crazy Rich Asians, I mean, I like that for a lot of different reasons, but like even shit like Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve, like those like, you know, ensemble cast of famous people that are all tangentially related, like I loved those. Those were great.
This is not that.
This
though.
is not
I'm gonna be honest with our audience. This is a bad movie, and Aaron texted me that he liked it, and I'm so scared.
I liked the first 30 minutes of it, and mostly because of the thing that happens in her apartment right now, which is that she turns on the TV while she's like doing some, you know, checking her emails on her laptop, and like, you know, we get an ad for like, you know, this guy who's like trying to sell a food pill basically, and we get like, you know, some like a, I don't know, like a sitcom basically of some people who are, you know, talking about their relationship issues. But then the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life happens, which is that she flips it to an advertisement to a very angry man who yells, "Stop it! Stop being poor! Buy my book and stop being poor!"
And he's holding a wad of the fakest money you've ever seen in your life.
If it was Monopoly money, it would have been more convincing. The delivery was incredible.
It's the fucking Paul Ryan, just stop being poor, but so much better.
Yeah, like, it's just, that man had probably more energy than 90% of the cast of this show, and I wanted a whole, you know, docudrama about that guy and his fake book. It kicked ass.
Yo, that's... It's like minute 4:30. Watch that much of this fucking flick, and then turn it off. Once that dude pops up, it's fucking downhill.
Yeah, I cackled like a hyena for, like, no joke, 20 seconds. I was just in hysterics. It was so funny. And then, you know, after that, we get an advertisement for Christian Mingle, and I was like, it's all downhill from here, boys.
Uh-oh.
You know, we get this narration that's just like, you know, if it's for Christians who are looking for other Christians that are ready to settle down and have like a great life with Christ together. And, you know, Gretchen Wiener says like, you know, yeah, right. And just turns off the TV.
It's wild that you said that's when the ad for Christian Mingle started. I believe it started 5 minutes prior to when the movie fucking began.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously this is this whole movie is an ad for how great. Actually, you know, Josh, I don't know. I don't know because of how this movie ends, or it's not a good. If this is an advertisement for the dating website ChristianMingle.com, it is not a good one.
You make such a good point.
So I don't fucking know, Chief, but we
gotta keep going.
We're only 5 minutes in. There's so much left of this movie. So she has this, you know, overhead narration. You know, she's like, I don't want just a guy who's gonna smile at me, you know, and look at me in the eyes for 10 seconds, which was her previous bar. But she talks about how she wants a genuinely decent guy. She says she wants to have something, you know, totally different.
And what's totally different in the United States? A conventionally attractive white man who's also a Christian.
Yeah, this movie also does the thing that all Christian propaganda films do, which is like the majority of people in the United States aren't Christian, and it's so weird to meet a guy who's Christian. You know, what is this Bible? Like she does not know how to rifle through a Bible, and there's some other points that I will bring up that just flummox me, but like it's ridiculous. We meet maybe my favorite character in this movie, which is her boss.
The villain from Garfield.
He was in Garfield?
He's the villain in the Garfield movie.
Have you seen the Garfield movie?
I've seen the Garfield movie 800 times. It was one of the 8 movies I liked as a kid.
Okay, well, I guess I'm glad that you got to, you know, see your childhood friend again.
Oh god, this makes me upset because I have a deeper pool later, and I thought that you would get both of these.
Oh no. Well, we'll see. My media consumption's all over the place. But their boss's whole thing is that he pretends to be an admiral, like in the Navy. It fucking rules. This is why I thought, I was like, this is a good movie, because
I will say my favorite joke in this movie does involve him, and
I loved him so much because like he's like, you know, everybody, you know, we need all hands on deck, you know, you're not going to abandon ship on me right now. And he wears a hat, and he has a tie that has an anchor on it. And there's later when they get pulled into his office, his whole office is full of paintings of boats. It's not even, they don't even talk about it. It's just like a set piece thing, which is like, oh my God, this movie rules.
I will also say his name is Douglas McCarver, which is really funny.
Really, really good. But anyway, he introduces that they run a marketing firm. They're about to work with this guy who looks like Guy Fieri. Donna.
But Guy Fieri, if he sold out.
Yeah. Donna DeBona, he's the infomercial king or whatever, and he has this cure for baldness. And you know their boss is very invested in this because of course he's bald. And like basically it's just this blue pill. You take it and it grows your hair back. And you know, sure, that's what she has to sell. And you know, we learn that Gwen is like pretty unhappy about her job. You know, she doesn't like having to sell snake oil to people. And you know, we also get introduced to her coworker. And you know, she's like a very clearly like a sassy black friend like stereotype, which sucks. But you know, they at least they paid several black people to be in this movie, and I guess I'm grateful for that because otherwise it would have just been all white people. But you know, anyway, she sees another Christian Mingle ad on the TV later that night, and she's like interested. And you know, we get another montage of, you know, some more Christian songs playing as she signs up for the christianmingle.com, you know, profile. And she does have there's a very good moment where like they're like, okay, what's the name of the church that you attend? And she can't think of one. So she just writes God's church. And it continues on. And like, you know what? I've been there. I've had tests where I'm just like, I'm just gonna give
fucking phone it in, man.
Yeah, I just gotta keep going on. I can't get stuck here all day.
There are 2 points I gotta make. When she's uploading like a picture to put on the dating site, her first instinct is to take a picture like right then and there, which is unhinged. Like, Aaron, I don't think I don't know your entire life history, so I don't think you've ever been on a dating website, to my knowledge. To pick the most flattering image of yourself, the idea of going right now in the cold light of my computer screen, this is my best angle. Why?
The only time I've ever done something like that is when I had to get my picture for like my campus card for graduate school, and I literally was just like in my pajamas and I took a picture, and I was like very grouchy about it because I was having trouble signing up for the card. So now like my campus ID has like me in like the shittiest t-shirt and like, you know, like bloodshot eyes. So I've been there, but yeah, like it seems like a bad way to meet life partners.
Yeah, but then she ends up picking a interesting photo of herself and just going like, there we go.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. But basically she also, before she goes on this date, she does check out the books Christianity for Dummies and the Bible for Dummies from her local bookstore. She like just buys them, which is really good. You know, how else are you going to illustrate that your protagonist doesn't know about Christianity except for having them buy the book Christianity for Dummies?
I wanted to make fun of her lack of knowledge of Christianity so bad, but in hanging out with my girlfriend's family, I have learned, and I don't know if you know this, Aaron, not everyone was raised Southern Baptist.
Okay, so here's the thing, Josh. They bring this up, right? Later in the film, they talk about how Gwen was baptized and went to Sunday school, right? Mm-hmm. And, like, I just, like, I was writing this down. I was like, is it just me? Or are there actually people who, like, you know, went to Sunday school and then just, like, didn't have a, like, big reckoning with their faith and either just, like, you know, decided they were a full atheist or, you know, became, like, a radical? And, like, I've never met someone like that. I've never met somebody who is just like, oh yeah, I believe in everything, but it's like fine, right? Like I've never met somebody like your partner's family who has just like never had any exposure to Christianity. That is such an anomaly to me.
Well, what specifically, like, I not to say too much about my girlfriend's family, but like parents a decent amount like her, I'll say this, Bailey, like not a lot of information about Christianity at all in her life outside of like external family, but like she wasn't, to my knowledge, like baptized. I went to Sunday school, like just had like no knowledge of it. But I can't imagine being baptized and then going to Sunday school and leaving with like, church was Like normally Christianity leaves a taste in your mouth.
Yeah. We normally call that
hence
taste
this
trauma,
podcast.
But, like, yeah. It is so weird that there is this invention of like the believer that has, so thoroughly forgotten everything about Christianity that they literally have to purchase a book to figure out what's going on. But anyway,
they didn't know what they wanted from her, because they wanted her to be the like, atheist who had never experienced. This is what people like. These are the people that have never met God that exist that we're supposed to go talk to. But at the same time, like, it needs to be logical that she can be like, oh, I'm kind of a Christian, kind of.
Yeah. It's just
anyway.
bonkers.
This first fucking date, man. This first date.
It is bad.
It's a bad first date
for both of them, and I don't know why they play it off like it goes well.
I just want to point out that their entire interaction proves my point. I would kill it as a Christian comedian.
Yes. So let's talk about Paul, right? Played by Jonathan Patrick Moore. Paul Wood is the guy who is Gwen's love interest in the film. He is an extremely milquetoast man. He has no discerning features. His family's fucking wild, but he is an extremely boring person. Like, his job is to be like, like a data analyst, which like is a thing that I've applied for. I've applied to be an analyst of some sort. So like, I get it. I get the idea of wanting to be some sort of like, pretty boring office job man, but like that is what this guy is. He's extremely uninteresting. I guess that's not true. He opens with talking about how he used to want to be a rock star. So that's something. In
the most 70-year-old man way ever, though. This dude walks in and immediately is like, you got spunk, kid, which is a literal thing he says. And then she fucking orders, like, asks him to get coffee. And she's like, black, but with 2 sugars. And he said the thing that I want y'all to put on my tombstone, which is a believer and non-complicated.
Yes. He says, you're uncomplicated and a believer? Incredible. Love that shit. And
what the fuck, man? It's coffee.
Yeah, like, it's people drink coffee. It's fine, dude. And like the cadence and pacing of their conversation, like, none of them really asks a question about the other person in this first date. They're just sort of like talking about how awkward it is to be dating people on the internet. And
how one day you'll die.
Yeah, and how death comes for us all in the end.
And how this is just a great race from the Grim Reaper.
Yes, that's all Gwen. Gwen is just like, yeah, I mean, fucking, we're going to get married and then we're going to be in our fucking tombstones. So it's like, what's the point? And like, at that point, I think that maybe Paul should have dipped, but like, he toughed it out. He got her a cookie and a coffee. And then Gwen tries to impress him with this fake prayer thing, which kicks ass, because she says, thank you for the cookie and the coffee, which I like. I'm really grateful for the talent of the baristas to make this coffee. Well, I guess it's black coffee, so it wasn't, didn't have that much talent. But again, also thank you for Paul, because he seems pretty chill. Like that's like almost verbatim what her prayer is, and I kind of like that. I think that's very good.
It was very funny, especially when he went, never prayed over coffee before. And that's an actual conversation I had with people as a child, because I prayed before I ate lunch at school. And a lot of people would come up to me and go, are you crying? And I was like, this is my moment to share Christ with them.
Yes.
But I remember people being like, do you pray with snacks? And I was like, sometimes. And they were like, okay.
I love how Christianity makes you a little evangelizer from such a young age, because I have a very similar memory of like being told that like you should pray before everything you do. And then like my Jewish friend in like kindergarten, not even kindergarten, but like preschool comes up to me. And I was like, oh, I have to pray before I talk to this Jewish kid. And then I like turned around and prayed and then turned back to him.
That's my least favorite thing you've ever said.
Yeah, like weirdly anti-Semitic for a 4-year-old.
Yeah,
but, like,
yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but yeah, that's...
I'm not gonna judge. I hated gay people a lot when I was 4.
Yeah, I got...
So, like, it gets us.
Great, good. This is...
I hate them more now, but, like, that's
different.
My
You're
own
one
stuff.
of them. You've unlocked a new tier of hatred.
But it's very interesting, because, like, I do wonder how kids are gonna do that now. Like, are they gonna drop, like, a... like L plus ratio plus he died for our sins in the comments of a bad YouTube video?
Oh man, I hope so. I want there to be a whole generation of YouTuber evangelists that are teaching kids how to proselytize via TikTok. That'll be incredible.
So what I want you go on to twitch.com and instead of typing your little W's and your L's, type a T. Mm-hmm. Because you know who died on a shape just like that one. Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We have to keep going with this fucking movie.
Okay. Don't worry. We're already through like half of the plot.
This is... I hope you've seen the Wikipedia page for this, because it is incomprehensible. It's 3 sentences.
I have not seen it, thankfully. Maybe you could read it at the end. But like, yeah, so, you know, she talks to her friend, who is like, you know, I'm a Christian, I was baptized or whatever. I went to church. She has a really great... See, this is why I think this movie is good, because, like, she talks about... She's like, oh, I went to church last month. And then her friend's like, did you? And she's like, well, you know, it was a wedding. And she's like, whose wedding? And then Gwen's like, I don't know. Like, the first third of this movie was, like, pretty good, and I enjoyed it. But
Aaron, like, you're right that that's a good, like, a well-written joke. I don't mean to be mean. It was delivered with zero gusto.
No, I mean, like, basically no one is excited to be in this movie. It's a goddamn advertisement for Christian Mingle that lasts 100 minutes. Like, nobody's excited to be here, especially once we get into Acts 2 and 3, but, like, you know, I thought that, like, I could see through the bad performances, and I thought it was pretty good.
Our theory that there's one Bible Boys fan in every writer's room still holds true.
Yes, somebody is in there just sweating their ass off, trying so hard to get us to chuckle, and I appreciate you, whoever you are, who predicted this show would exist in 2014. One interesting thing that her friend says is, like, that website is for real Christians looking for other real Christians. And if this is a movie that is ostensibly about advertising Christian Mingle, you're narrowing down your market, right? Like, I don't think that's good marketing.
So you're saying they should let fake Christians in too, just to open it up a little bit?
I'm just saying, like, you want to broadcast your dating website to the widest possible margins, right?
So, okay, I'm with you now. Because with this movie's canon, there are 18 Christians.
I mean, essentially, yeah. Like,
in the United States.
I just don't think you should be especially gatekeepy about who uses your public dating website. Like, I think there are so many dating websites available. I don't think Christian Mingle has the fucking, you know, capital to be like, oh, Tinder, we can fucking compete with that, but don't let the fake Christians in.
This is all because you weren't allowed on Grindr, huh?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Open the floodgates, y'all.
They said, are you gay? And I said, no. I just want to see what the hubbub is about. They said, you should leave.
I'm just interested in making some new friends.
This is going to sound like a joke, but it's not. When I used Bumble, because my wife recommended it, to make friends, because I don't think either of us knew that Bumble was primarily a dating website. So there was a week in my life where I was like, I'm trying to make friends with people on Bumble, but I'm not getting a whole lot of responses. I guess it's because I used, like, the picture of my partner in my dating profile. So if anybody sees my Bumble profile out there, that's why, I guess.
Oh, man, the joke that you're on Grindr to find new gay friends to start new podcasts with is not that far off, huh?
No, but I just used Twitter instead. I listen to a podcast. I follow that podcast's Twitter audience, and then I make friends with the gay people in there, and then that's how I create a podcast network. She does describe this guy like Leave It to Beaver to her friends, which is extremely apt. And they go to a sushi restaurant.
Oh, okay. Let's. We drove 3 feet. Pull over the car again. This is the worst shit I've ever seen in my entire life. This entire scene gives the implication that like these dirty atheists eating their gross, uncooked fish, unlike civilized, real American boys who just like a good big old hot dog to glizz down on, and it was wild to watch. They even made a point of him being like, oh, what are chopsticks?
Yeah, like, this is by far not the most racist thing that happens in this movie, but like they play the very stereotypical, like, you know, Asian-esque music over this whole sequence. You know, he makes a face like he's like, you know, smelled rotten eggs whenever he looks at the sushi. And he's like, oh, well, I kind of want to try sushi. It's the in thing, you know, right? Which, like, sushi was like pretty popular in America at least by the 70s, like mainstream. And sushi is a, you know, a recipe that's over 1,000 years old. So like, what are you talking about that hip. It's in? Yeah, like
it's just hip now. Now it got invented in 2014. Yeah, that's like, when it's cool.
Yeah, and they spend like a whole minute on him trying to chew one piece of sushi. It's just so stupid, and they're just like, oh, isn't it so funny how this man doesn't like sushi, which is raw fish, and you should hate, actually. It's ridiculous.
The next 2 restaurants that come up are beautiful and wonderful and art pieces, but we'll get to them later.
Oh man, I don't even remember those. So the next sequence, they've been on 2 dates at this point, by the way, but the next sequence is that he invites her to his Bible study. And she does a couple of funny things. She goes to famousbiblequotes.com to memorize Bible quotes to cite at this study, which, by the way, I did try to purchase. It is not for sale.
Damn it. Good eye, though. Good eye.
You know. And basically only a couple interesting things happen here. One is that he's introducing all his friends, and he introduces one couple who is, expecting a child. And the only way that they interact with Gwen is the woman who is pregnant shouts, "My belly!" That's it.
This is true. And unfortunately, like, when she opens the door, it's just the same couple twice and then a blonde lady. It was really fucking weird. Both men were wearing very similar shirts. Like, every man was wearing a button-up with, like, a repeating pattern and, like, slacks, which I know, but still.
Yeah, like, let's not throw stones in our glass house, but, yeah, like, they're all kind of the same person, except for, of course, the one single person whose name is Kelly, who has been childhood friends with Paul, and is, very clearly positioned as a threat to Gwen's relationship. At some point, I guess in the third restaurant, she asks what's the deal with Kelly, and it's basically revealed that his mom wants him to marry her, which is unfortunately going to be plot related, but we'll get there. Josh, you want to talk about the... Oh, go ahead.
Third restaurant is a hot dog store. Yeah. In which we just see this man fucking Nancy Reagan throat goating that fucking dog, man. He fucking downs it. It's fucking, like... Joey Chestnut wishes.
He's like a boa constrictor. He just unhinges his jaw.
And then afterwards he's like, that's real good. I think he's like, we're headed to Tasty Street or some Guy Fieri-ass quote.
He says with something none of the about charm. Like the, flavor hot dog leaving the station or something incredibly corny. And I think you're right, Josh. You should become a Christian comedian because apparently there is money in it.
Listen. That's not the best restaurant, though. The best restaurant's coming around the bend.
Yeah, can't wait. We also learned that Gwyneth wanted to be a teacher, but, Josh, as as somebody who works in education understands, there's just so many, it's so hard to find a job as a teacher in the United States. It's so competitive,
I don't want to talk about it right now. Ask me in 2 years. This would hurt, man.
Yeah.
As someone who has marketing typed into Indeed every couple weeks.
Oh no. Okay, I didn't realize it was that bad. I'm sorry.
This is me, man. This is me in 10 years.
Man, I can't believe you didn't connect more with this movie. We'll see what country you end up in a couple of years by next Christmas. So basically, they're walking home, and we get this story about how Paul's dad became a believer in Christ because he was, quote, a drifter, and he, was trying all sorts of weird things in the 60s. And then one day he found a piece of driftwood and carved a statue of Jesus out of it and just became a believer like that.
Also, his last name is Wood, and he is a carpenter. And Gwyneth was like, so you're telling me that your dad, whose last name is Wood, was a drifter and found driftwood and then turned it into Jesus? And then this motherfucker laughed like it was the best joke he'd ever heard and was like, you're always finding the funny in the world. He didn't have a southern accent, but for this scene he did in my mind. This is when I realized I could dominate. I could be the Robin Williams of Christians.
No, yeah.
I'm not that funny.
Yeah.
I could kill.
You would be opening the Creation Museum, like 100%.
Oh my god, yeah, they'd be like shipping them in. Mm-hmm. It'd be incredible. It's like when you give like a, I Hate Mondays joke to boomers, just fucking killing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think what made me so frustrated about this scene is also for no reason they get to her apartment early. There's no reason.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, she's like, "Oh, I'm here," and then like, "Okay, well, I keep talking. I want to hear this story." And they just stand outside her apartment, and like, you're 100% correct. Why didn't they just make them walk for longer?
It makes no sense. Like, I was waiting for there to be a reason, and there just isn't.
Yeah, like I thought they were gonna, like, do something like, oh, I don't come into women's apartments because I'm a good Christian or something. But they never.
Or even like a gag where like someone comes out like carrying garbage, interrupts the story, like literally any reason. But it felt like they just like she was just done. Like the actress was done walking and like, just ad-libbed it.
Yeah, I don't want to do this scene anymore. Let's just finish this off.
Let's speed it up, man.
That's fair. That's fair, Lacey Chabert. But like. Yeah, there are so many. You have to, when you are doing storytelling, you should probably try to make most of the choices you make intentional. And it's so strange. It's so strange to see this. It's wild. There's also, he tells a weird story about his science experiment, which I thought was going to end in, him converting mice over with to Christianity using classical music. But
I also thought that.
Yeah, it seemed like that's where it was going. But he was like, no, actually the point was just the cheese at the end of the maze. And then she says... Well,
I didn't get it either, lady. Like, I didn't know what he meant. I didn't get the metaphor.
No, because it's a bad metaphor. And then she's just like, well, sweet Jesus. And he, shits himself laughing. It's incredible.
I could do so good, man. I don't know. It's been a rough year, maybe.
Yeah, listen. Then she asks him straight up, are you happy? Which is such a wild 180-degree turn for all the other conversations. I was like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for having a genuine moment of interaction and conversation with this man.
This is after he was out of nowhere, after he just sucked down a dog in front of her, was like, how'd you get to know Jesus? And she was like, whoa, slow down there, cowboy. And then asked him the same exact question. And then after that was like, are you happy in life? Are you satisfied?
Yeah, see, that's why I don't think Gwen is an uninteresting person. I think she's a little bit of a sociopath.
I think she's a bad person.
Yeah, but bad people are interesting to tell stories about. And I like Gwen as a protagonist, if I'm being honest. Okay, here's where we get the other good restaurant. So they go to church. Oh. They go to church and they meet, his family. He get his, his broad father who does construction, I guess. And we meet his mom who is,
Tammy Faye.
Honestly, 100%, she's just Tammy Faye. But if Tammy Faye was weird and controlling, it seems like Tammy Faye is nice.
Can we put Tammy Faye in the title so we can get more clicks?
Yeah, we gotta get the SEO.
Okay, perfect. Yes.
But we they're like, oh, Gwen, we've heard so much about you. We want to meet you. Let's go to the restaurant. And they're like, but they don't say the restaurant. They say, let's go to Steak and Cake. And I was like, oh, is that like coffee and donuts? And no, it is not.
It's fucking plates of steak and fucking, like, what are the cake stands of different cakes sitting at the table.
It rules! This movie's fucking good, Josh!
It is the most Southern American restaurant I've ever seen in my entire life. And you know what the worst part is? The worst part of this fucking restaurant? I'd be there every fucking week.
Hell yeah, because it's steak and cake. Are you kidding me?
What do you have to the side of your steak? Is it a salad? No. Is it potatoes? No. It's a fucking double-decker chocolate cake. It's fucking awesome. And it almost canceled out the fact that the entire time, this dude's mom was like, why don't you fuck your lifetime best friend?
Yes, right. This is everything. Yeah, it all goes downhill from here because then we get into plot shit because basically his mom's just like, oh, yeah, this is our Kelly, We want.
This is R. Kelly. Oh, you are.
It's not. I promise it's not.
Could you fucking imagine? This movie would be amazing if that's what just happened.
Well, we did a movie about Ja Rule once, so like. The point is basically his mom reveals that tomorrow he is going to the Yucatan Peninsula for a month. And she's like, "Oh, I wish you had told me that." And he just didn't. He just didn't bring it up. Because his dad's company is going to restore a community called San Luis. In particular, they're going to fix a church there. And it's really dumb and stupid, and I don't like it. But like that becomes the rest of the plot, unfortunately.
It was one of those where I was really hoping that it would just be like a weird 20 minutes. It was a weird hour.
Yeah, this is the rest of the movie, and it's not good. Let's see. So basically, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, pretty much the next beat of this is her just being like really upset at him, and then we get like a very awkward and rough sales pitch where she pitches her marketing ideas to not Guy Fieri.
It's so bad. It immediately lost all the goodwill I had built up with this film because it goes on for like 5 minutes and it's not funny. But like she's like, oh, what if we made your blue pill the blue bullet and we could have a dispenser shaped like a gun, and we could kill baldness with the blue bullet. And there was also a bit where she was like, everybody, especially men, want to blame their deficiencies on someone, and we're going to blame God. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good.
There's also a point where she was like, and there are bald women, and Guy Fieri's like, too many. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, he's like, my mom was bald, and it's like supposed to be really funny, but it's not. And they also make a joke about gun violence. They're just like, we shouldn't have a dispenser shaped like a gun because of all the gun issues right now. It's very toxic. Like, this was in 2014, but like,
thankfully we've solved all of those.
Yeah, like, so it didn't even get that bad yet, but still, like, ugh, just a disaster.
I do hate to say, my favorite joke in the entire movie is at the end of this, where she goes back into her like little office and gets a call from Paul. And Paul's like, come to Mexico. I've known you for like a month. Mm-hmm. And then her boss storms in, and he opens the door, and immediately what was hanging up to like hit on his left just falls down and breaks. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I need to, and then looks over and watches it breaks, and then goes back to yelling. And then he ends with, when he leaves, he'll go, he stops yelling at her, like, opens the door, gets ready to storm out, turns around and goes, I'll pay for that, and then leaves.
Like, see, I think the boss rules. I think he's great. I mean, clearly, right, that Garfield experience is really serving him.
Honestly, nothing will make me believe that was in the script.
Yeah, no, that had to be an ad-lib, because no way they could have done something that funny. But also,
I don't think they would have paid to have something break.
Yeah, also, that's true. We should mention, it sounds like their audio is coming out of a tin can. Like, listen, our audio on this program is not incredible, but I think our audio is, like, slightly better than theirs.
At least I wear my fucking podcast blanket. I don't know what their fucking excuse is.
Exactly. I wish that there were movies where people all of the actors were just wearing blankets to make their audio sound really good. Why don't they do that more, Hollywood?
I know, come on. Save money on casting.
It's incredible. But like, I don't even think that he's known her for a month, because they've only been on 3 dates, and they give a timeline because like the pitch for this Guy Fieri guy was 4 days. So I think this is all taking place over a week.
Oh my god, she got mad at a dude for not telling her about a trip and known him for 3 fucking days. I hate her so much. While she's currently gaslighting him about her Christianity.
Yeah,
Girl boss, gaslight, gatekeep, man.
I mean, yeah, she's the trifecta. Don't get me wrong.
I also think Paul's a piece of shit. I want to be clear. They're perfect for one another.
There are so few likable people in this movie. So then I thought she quit her job. It looked like she was about to get fired, but she doesn't. She just goes to Mexico. And like, yeah, I mean, it does the thing where it's like, oh, now everything is slightly yellow. And they're very clearly in like Utah or Nevada or like someplace out in the American West, not like, I mean, listen, I haven't looked this up. Maybe they shot on site, but like my understanding is that the Yucatan Peninsula is very like tropical and like has a lot of like lush forest.
Isn't it like right on the equator or like fairly close?
Yes, it's much closer than like this fucking, you know, arid desert. Like it looks like they're like building the Alamo.
Never forget.
I've never forgotten. And like, yeah, like there's just a bunch of people doing a mission trip, and they're trying to rebuild this church, and of course Kelly's there, and it's the next like hour of this movie is them doing this mission trip shit, and it's really boring.
Yeah, it's not good. I also want to bring up a conversation that Paul's mother had with Paul. Because she calls him, and, you know, they're having a conversation about it. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry I revealed you're leaving for a month. Why didn't you fucking tell her? I'm like, yeah, she has a good point. And then she's like, you know that thing that's up with her. And he's like, I don't know what's up with her. And she's like, oh, you know that thing that's up with Gwen. Talking about it. And she's like, she's hiding something. What the fuck are we talking about? That scene was so pointless.
It was
like,
bizarre, yeah.
They didn't even hint that she thinks she's not Christian. Like, no. All that establishes that the mom did not like Gwen, which is something Gwen had already said beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. They just doubled down on that and made it, you know, explicitly textual. And I guess that's fine. Sure. But it was, again, so many, like, scenes in this film do not have a point. They don't go anywhere. Like this thing about the fucking, you know, blue pill hair growing thing, that doesn't come back up. That's just dropped from now on. It doesn't matter anymore. And I guess it comes back one more time when she has a weird conversation with her boss about like making the hair pill work, and she like, you know, she doesn't believe and she's got to believe, but like it doesn't end. It is a B plot that just sort of dissipates, and it's just nothing. Yeah,
wet fart of a plot, man.
So maybe the most racist part of this is where they are all at this school and they're teaching the Bible to a bunch of ostensibly Mexican kids who, for whatever reason, don't have a teacher even though they have a school, because the word escuela is written across this building. And like they have a translator who is, you know, doing a remarkable job of translating English to Spanish. And one of these kids is like, if God is love, why did God let this hurricane wipe our town off the map? And you know, what's her name? Gwen doesn't understand because she says this in Spanish. And then her, you know, the mom translates. And, you know, she's like, okay, here's the question in English. Gwen can't answer it because she can't, like, look up the right verse in the Bible or whatever. And that's, you know, when she's like, okay, and that's when they know. And, of course, Kelly does give the answer, you know, in Spanish. She looks up the right verse. And her Spanish is fucking dog shit.
Oh, it's bad. Listen, I can't speak Spanish worth shit. And I took it in college. I can recognize bad Spanish.
Yeah, like... Even, I mean, you know, I have a minor in Spanish and I'm not great at speaking Spanish, but like I could, yeah, you know, it's just not, you didn't have to. You could have just... You didn't have to do this weird, like, evangelical, like, mission trip bullshit. And I did my whole undergrad thesis about voluntourism, and this is 100% voluntourism, and so many voluntourist organizations are evangelical in nature, and some of them do provide, you know, a lot of good, but a lot of them just simply do not, and it's... especially religious ones, because they always have that alternative motivation. And I think that we should probably not do mission trips.
I want 2 quick points. My first one being, I don't know if I've told the story in Bible Boys, but in my first religious class in George Mason, it was about the big 3 Abrahamic religions, and we had someone from each religion come to speak. The first person was a rabbi, fucking hilarious, amazing, so insightful, obviously had been teaching for like years. Then we had a Christian come in who was big, this energy. It was like ball cap, skinny jeans Christian, and normally I vibe with them better, but someone was like, hey, how does your church deal with like the violence of the Old Testament, putting it with like the love and the like of the New Testament? And he went, that's a tough one, and then moved on. So I don't know if we could just say redirecting from tough questions means you're not a Christian.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what Gwen does. And you know what? Maybe she's actually very good at what these Christians are doing. So, and
also, that's the hardest question in Christianity.
yeah, it's like,
why does bad shit happen?
Yes, you know, the problem of evil is fundamentally why I am no longer a Christian in many ways, but like, yeah, like, I mean, that's also the problem for all religions that have, you know, a God that allows, you know, bad things to happen, and, you know, it's a little harsh to be like, and Gwen couldn't answer that. Canceled.
But we'll cancel Kelly for answering it.
Yeah, I will. I'm glad that Kelly got canceled in the end. Basically, it's revealed that Gwen's not a Christian, and Paul basically just tells her to go home.
But, like, I'm gonna be honest. She did, after the stink she made about, like, why didn't you tell me about this? Why were you keeping secrets from me? I would also send her home.
That's fair. Like, she's being fucking weird, and I get it, but also, like, ostensibly this movie wants us to root for these two, and it is such a weird trick to be like, well, I'm gonna be completely unsympathetic to you. I know that you live, you know, in a city that is at least in a different country than the one we are currently in, but I don't, you know, I'm not gonna do anything for you except for, you know, tell you to get out of here, go on, scram. It's so weird.
But on the bright side, this is how she met him.
Yeah. Who?
Paul's pronouns are just he. Because he can never be capital him. Aaron! Oh, that's good! That's the title of this!
It is if I don't edit it out. But, yeah, this is where we get a montage of her becoming an actual Christian and going to, like, a gospel church, a black gospel church specifically. Like, so I guess they kind of avoid the tokenism of having only one, you know, speaking role. There's only one black person in this movie who speaks.
But a couple that sing.
Yeah, so that's, you know, maybe more racist now in hindsight, but
yeah, I don't know if this is better or worse. I think this is a
the way I come down on it is, like, those people got paid to be in this movie, and I'm happy for them.
I'm happy with that take.
So in the end, you know, she starts to really get into Christianity. She does a Bible learning montage. She works at a soup kitchen. And she, you know, it's revealed that her coworker is also a Christian. She's like, oh wow, I never would have guessed. You never brought it up. And you know, it's a nothing. It's a nothing burger.
We also need to talk about Matt.
Who?
And yeah, that's what most people are saying. Matt, the bike repairman.
What? I don't have anything to say about him. What did you find interesting about him?
So a couple things that I found interesting about him. One was that he was the director.
Oh, shit.
2, that he was the writer. And 3, that he was the dad of the main character in the fucking amazing TV show Psych.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, that's the dad. And I recognize that, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird that he's in this. Like, why is the dad from Psych here? Is Gus gonna show up next? That'd be fucking awesome. And then I just opened the Wikipedia page and saw his name again and lost it.
Man, when you get all those fucking checks from Psych syndication, you have a lot of money, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna make a very long advertisement for Christian Mingle.
I'm gonna make a movie that's gonna make almost $30,000.
Yeah. Incredible. But yeah, nothing is important to say about it other than because he showed up in like weirdly throughout the movie as they're like switching through people. We just see a man with big, strong, hairy hands like fixing bikes and like a cross around his neck. Like I know he shows up at least 2 other times, and I was like, what the fuck is that dude doing here? That's our explanation. Another scene you could have cut, but I'm glad they didn't. This one I'm happy they left in. Yeah, thank you for explaining that, because I was very, I didn't think that the bike man needed to be in here at all, like weirdly hanging out in the montage scenes.
But he did.
I love that every Christian media company cannot help but put themselves in their own shows. That's hysterical. So basically, she's explained to her friend about how she wants Jesus in her life, and she's like, you know what? This isn't just about Paul. This is about me finding something authentic. And then like in the next scene, she calls Paul. So like maybe
it's a little about Paul.
Yeah, but basically she meets up with Paul at this church. She can quote some Bible verses at him now, and it's really cool.
Yeah, she walked up to him and was like, "And Jesus wept."
Yeah,
because she's been listening to the Bible Boys.
Yep. But basically, then all of a sudden, her mom, or Paul's mom, comes out, and then Kelly comes out, and Kelly grabs Paul's hand, and it's like, oh, they're together now, and like it's like, oh, it's all over. And I just hate the way that this film, positions these women as like controlling antagonists, and like that Paul is just helpless to their whims, like he can't make any choices for himself. It's really, really bad.
Even how this movie ends, like even Gwen is controlling and like kind of weirdly forceful.
Yeah, it's weird. It's bad. But anyway, they get coffee, and like he tells her that the pregnant woman had her baby in the square of San Luis, which I don't think is good. Like, listen, if you're gonna do a home birth with like a trained doula on hand, that's all well and good, but like I don't think anyone should be giving birth outside basically for any reason.
You'll know this better than I do. Aren't you not supposed to fly? Like when you're getting kind of close?
I mean, I certainly wouldn't.
Because like at most she flew 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Like yes, good for her. Listen, girl power, do it. That's bold.
It is certainly a gambit. You are good. If you don't want to be like the subject of an inspirational story on MSNBC the next day, like maybe don't do that. God.
Oh my God. But I love that she, like, after like apologizing for lying to him, she's like, now when are you gonna stop fucking lying to yourself, you fucking nerd?
It's incredible, the turn that she makes on this man.
She gets weirdly aggressive, and he's like, what are you talking about? She's like, oh, one day you just wake up and you think Kelly's attractive. Be real. Grow up.
Here's the thing. I want to posit a theory to you, Josh. I think that Kelly is a part of a different rom-com. I think Kelly is the protagonist of an entirely different movie that we just haven't seen yet.
I would love a fucking... What's the Twilight book that's from, like, Edward's perspective? I like the
I don't know. I don't know if I'm about Twilight, unfortunately, but yes, I
would
love
the Christian
that.
Mingle, but for her, I don't know. It'd be like J-Date. It'd be really funny.
Midnight Sun actually is.
Okay, yeah. I'm so glad. The comments would have been insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that it's very funny that the childhood best friend that turns out to be the, love of your life is actually evil in this one. But yeah, anyway, she gets dumped by him, or rejected rather. But she has this conversation with God, and then finally, her moment of clarity, she gets a letter in the mail from who else but that child from Mexico. The kid is named Maria.
From that one scene that you definitely forgot about.
Which is why they did a flashback to it. And they're like, thanks for your great answer. I don't speak English very well because I'm a stereotype. Anyway, here's a picture of the church. It's all fixed up. Thanks. And you know what? That's the last straw for Gwen. She's like, I'm going to San Luis. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to get my life together. And she does that.
It's established she doesn't know any Spanish.
Yeah. Josh, do you ever just quit your job and move to a whole different country where you don't speak the language and there's no, you don't know anybody, and actually you do know some people, but you tried to, steal their son away from the person that they were meant to be with? Do you ever do that?
And then, immediately get a job, my dream job, teaching people that speak a different language than me, teaching them an unknown subject. I don't know, maybe... Listen, my life is on a Gwen path. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, maybe one day you will go and be an English teacher in a country where you have no business being.
Listen, if there's anyone in the Yucatan Peninsula that needs a man with no marketable skills...
Josh is at Green History on Twitter. But at the end,
happy ending. It's such a good ending. Where
it's fucking terrible. So
it just says some months later on the fucking Wikipedia page.
It says next Christmas. It says next Christmas because it's positioned as being a year out from Christmas. So this all takes place over the course of after New Year's to Christmas. And Paul just shows up in San Luis, and he's like, "Hey, I wanted to talk to you." And then Gretchen Wieners is looking around for his mom and Kelly, and he's like, "Oh, well, they're not here anymore.
I killed them."
Well, he does say that Kelly is no longer here, and he holds his hand up to his heart and it says "or in here," which is very funny.
He killed that part of the Horcrux.
Yes. Only 6 more to go. But they make out. There's a happy ending. One of the guys who's hanging Christmas decorations looks at them and they're like, "Oh, I think we're being watched." And they both seem a little bit turned on by that.
Paul has to be so incredibly horny.
He is a Christian after all. And then the last thing that they say is just I love your papa, but we'll work on your mama. Do you ever talk to your partner and be like, I know that your one of your parents is great, but your other parent is fucking dog shit.
I just went up to my girlfriend "Hey, your mom's rad as hell, but your dad, what the fuck, man?" Also, this is just a tidbit I'm gonna give from the Green Brothers. Our father, not the one which art in heaven, the one which art in earth, Brian Green, never really gave us this is what I want you to call me. So we just kind of call him Brian.
That's really weird.
I know. I've had people ask if he's my stepdad.
I mean, that is what you do to your stepdad, is you call them by their first name.
Yeah, but I brought this up to my dad not that long ago. I was like, "Do you find it weird that we don't call you dad?" And he just very indignantly went "I don't call you son." And I'm like,
"That's really good."
You make a good point, man.
Papa is my nomenclature of choice, for the record. But yeah.
Wait, is that what you want people to call you?
I mean, that is what I call my father, and is what I want my children to call me, I suppose.
Okay, Aaron, so everyone fix the fucking, go on to AO3, make sure you switch all of the things, not daddy, it's papa.
Oh, great. Well, should we rate this fucking film?
Oh, there's so many good options. I'm gonna give it 1 non-complicated and a believer.
That's pretty good. I'm gonna give this a, Pope 230, which I believe is pronounced Deus did it.
I think you nailed that as well as I did this nice actress's name in the beginning.
If you could tell me how to pronounce DEUSDEDIT, at me on Twitter.
Jesus, but, that would end some Wordles, I'm just saying.
Yeah, gosh. Incredible. Well, listeners, I hope you had a good Valentine's Day. I hope that hearing this, I hope knowing that me and Josh spent our Valentine's Day watching this movie.
We have
if you had a
significant
bad
others
one.
too.
Yeah, neglecting our partners and watching this shit film, makes you feel a little bit better about whatever happened for your Valentine's Day. But Josh, if people want to, tell us what they did instead of watching a bad movie on Valentine's Day, where can people find us on the internet?
I'm at Green History on Twitter, and keep your eye out because Aaron and I are up to some stuff.
Yeah, if you want to find out who is in our hearts, just watch us on Twitter. Michael is at Michael's Diamonds on Twitter. But I'm at AaronSXL on Twitter, where I tweet about health policy and tabletop RPGs. I do another podcast with my friend Layla. We talk about media. We just reviewed the bird dating visual novel Hatoful Boyfriend. If you just haven't had enough romantic content this week, so check us out at Mortified Pod. And as always, if thinking about how we don't live in a world with steak and cake makes you want to cry, just remember that it is okay to cry, because even Jesus wept. We'll see you all next time.